Hello, everybody. We are live for Freedom Friday, and I am joined with therapist, mother, listener, goddess,
Wow.
Laura
That was good to
Weaver,
hear.
right? Right, and I'm gonna link into that. Laura works at the cabin, but recently, has it been about a year now since the retreat, or a little less? The retreat was birthed.
8 months.
8 months. So the retreat at the cabin, where she runs some very special events that I would love to kind of flow into how that all evolved for you. So it's really amazing to be with you on this day in particular because it is Friday the 13th. And I was talking, I've been kind of back and forth with my team. I'm like, I love the kind of dates and the things that are like dark and ominous and people want to like put all this shadow on it. I'm like, I love that stuff. And one of my team members sent me this really beautiful post and said Friday the 13th has been, it historically was a celebration of the divine feminine, like the cycles of life. So apparently there are 13 lunar cycles in a year, and most women have about 13 cycles in a year. So there's all these different alignments with the cycles of things. And then it was really beautiful because when Laura arrived, she brought me this. Her husband, who works with wood, had made this for one of my daughters, and it says, "Well-behaved women rarely make history." So here we are on this divine day of alignment. And we're going to launch into this other concept of alignment that I think is so important, you know, as a fellow mama and working with families, working with kids as well. The transition time that is back to school. And I really didn't think of it until you and I started our kind of pre-conversation of like, oh yeah, school always comes the end of summer, beginning of fall. And that's a really interesting alignment where naturally there's kind of like a in the universe as the energy starts to go inward. And that's actually when we look at what's going to happen in the trees, what's already happening. You can see with my tree out there, I have a black walnut that's one of the first that transitions. The energy starts to turn inward. And there begins this process of letting go that is really beautiful and powerful and necessary to lay the way for what's to come. So I would love for you to share anything that comes up for you around the way you support families and their back to school time and how you work. Because Laura she's an outside the box kind of girl. Way outside the box kind of girl in terms of the approach that you use. And it's not just with children, but also with big people and families. So I would just love to hear whatever you feel called to share with us. I keep eyeing because she's got these beautiful pieces of art on the floor. So whatever you feel like diving into first, and we'll just take it from there.
Well, thank you thank you for inviting me into this space. I have to share the first thing that came to my mind is hearing the word goddess. And how maybe several years ago, hearing that word, I would have maybe kind of felt myself cave in. And today I felt myself shine. And that's been a gift in the journey working with you and also in learning how to harness my inner strengths and feel like I can receive that term. So I just want to honor that right here and right now in this space. I felt giving ourselves permission. This quote has been ringing in my ears for the last couple of weeks, and it's upgrade your reality. And I think of I'm
going to put that in the chat. Keep talking.
I was an athlete in my younger days, and we would play this opponent, and I noticed our coach would notice when we would play to their level. And I don't know the science behind why we do that or really understand that, but it resonated with me that sometimes in life we are, you know, I worked in a profession for a long time where I watched the room around me and I played to that level. And for various reasons, right, we just kind of fall into that. And I noticed I would almost not even, I would like dress down just to make myself feel like I could fit in and not be acknowledged. And so I just think of upgrading our reality has been a theme in my practice. It's been a theme with my own family, is that the reality is where we are today is where we are. And we have a choice to say, where do we want to be? And maybe how do we align ourselves with that? And that can be kind of scary, right? Because it's kind of like, wait, I can be seen as a goddess.
Mhm.
I can choose that. And so hearing that today, it felt more natural. I've worked a lot in my personally, professionally on that. So I didn't get here easily, but hearing that, I was like, so.
And I love that you shared that, because I would say that's been my experience too. When I look at all these times that I've leveled up, like even creating Wellness Lies Within, I had to get into a certain place. Like she was talking about, like, do I like to do this? I love to do this! And I didn't know that about myself until I reached a certain place in my own energy where I was like, you know what? I love to do this. It's one of my gifts, and it's okay to shine my light out, because what happens when I shine my light out, I end up reflecting off all you other magical beings out there and inspiring you to shine your lights. So, and then the other piece of that is that's lovely that everything that we do and our practices has such a beautiful ripple benefit. But the truth of it is, it also is about our own personal journey. And I really want, especially as a mother, we tend to, our energy is everywhere. It's we put everybody else above caring for ourselves.
Yeah.
And, whether that's in our practices, in our relationships, and with our children. And when we start to, I never use the word selfish, when we start to center our lives around nurturing and caring for ourselves, and we become these overflowing lights and, full of energy and connection, then not only are we healthier and happier, but we just naturally have that ripple benefit, whether you're a therapist and you're working people with directly, or, like I'm working with people, or it's just you going to the grocery store and doing your day to day, and you're transforming the world just by owning that full embodiment of your goddess energy, right? Yeah. It's so powerful, so important. And then to, as we do that, especially as a parent, and I'm sure you can speak to this, I keep pointing at her, like I want to pick up this.
Yes.
So this magical wand, and you'll talk to these in particular, but as a parent, as a mother, not actions don't speak louder than words. Your energy speaks louder than anything you might be saying or even doing. Like your presence and your energy, if you're not in alignment, they're going to call you out on it, right?
Yes.
They are, and when you are in that place, when you're shining your fullness and you are embodying what you really want your children to do for themselves and calling them to be, step into their best selves.
Yes.
So tell me what these guys are about.
Okay. Well, so one of the things I'll just kind of say this. It feels like there's always more and more and more that we can do as parents. So as I'm sharing these things, one of the things I did first before doing all these activities was kind of clearing out some space so that I could add more. And working in the schools for so long, and every year they were like, here's a new program, here's another thing. And I was like, okay, we have to do everything that we currently have and then add one more thing. And so before I share this, we all are all free to let go of whether it's a thought that we have or a belief system or even something physical. When I create things, I don't want it to be one more to do, but I want it to be in replace of something that I release. And so these intention sticks, it was what we do in our family is what we're already doing. We embed this into our current lifestyle. So it's not like, oh gosh, one more thing, but we went to places that have meaning, and my kids collected sticks. And then we came home and we thought about and set that intention and reflected on what are we looking for this month? What are we wanting for a month? We have a theme, and a lot of our lives and our things kind of revolve around these themes. And then we each I put out a bunch of art and supplies and just let them create an intention. And then we incorporate it into our daily conversation so that it just feels more natural. And it flows. And then I put it in a vase because I was like, I want you all to see your intentions and celebrate. Mine was unwritten because I had yet to know. And this was right before the new space at the retreat. It was November when we did this. And it's crazy how by December we were in a new space, starting a whole new chapter into the retreat. So,
wow.
Yeah. A little visual.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, even more than a visual. The visual is wonderful, and I love that you can have that sitting around your home as kind of the reminder. Because the way of life, of course, we get busy and then we kind of forget that we dove in, and it's kind of a constant reminder that brings you back.
Yes. And a memory, it's a stored experience. I mean, we all have, we store these maybe not so pleasant experiences, and they can just kind of revisit us with certain things. Time of year for fall might remind someone of something not so pleasant. And so to balance that or to counter that, I'm trying to create new experiences and enrich them. And so that our kids, even when we carry our emotions that are, more challenging for some, we can also look to this other side. It's a bridge, right? So that we can process and carry our emotions and name and regulate them, but also know that we have new things to look forward to and enrich and embody and tangible. I'm a visual and a kinesthetic and a tactile. Like when I'm in that moment, it really helps us enrich the positive or the things the reality that we'd like to have, how we felt in that space.
Right.
How do you get a taste of it?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful to fully hold space and acknowledge that, yes, we've got these other things, these other challenging things that we're working through. But one of the things, like when I talked with Heather Meyer, the Nurtured Heart approach, she's working at right now, she's teaching her course, and you're doing that one. Yeah. One of the things that we learn with the Nurtured Heart approach is, yes, we fully accept that this is part of the biggest picture, but we also learn that when we overly focus on those experiences, which we have a tendency to do, when something is uncomfortable, we want to get in there and work on it. It actually makes it more stuck.
Yeah.
So to invite yourself and honor that we can take a step back and we can celebrate maybe something that isn't even, like we can't even fathom this possibility, but we can play with it using our creativity and imagination and redirect all that energy that wants to go here. It's not like ignoring that that's there, but you're shifting into that space that creates more
of that freedom.
Flow. Yeah, freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Kind of to go back to what you were saying before, like with this idea of upgrading your reality, it's like we always have a choice. Where do we want to place our focus?
Yeah.
The stuff that makes us feel more stuck or the stuff that opens us to possibility and
There's a quote I recently read and it said, suffering equals pain times resistance. And that resistance, I think I carried resistance for a long time with my emotions, and I resisted it in a way that if I somewhat acknowledged that it was there, it would grow big and strong and overwhelm me, And I was resisting it, or I was numbing or suppressing or pushing it aside and almost minimizing it because I hadn't been taught how to express it and feel it and flow with it and kind of carry it with me. And I sometimes look at that. We have this like brain that sometimes focuses that emotions that are uncomfortable are somewhat negative. And I'm like, or are they just uncomfortable?
Right.
Or are they just there? And can we bring it? I can bring sad with me and still show up to life. But I'm not going to cut that part off.
Right.
Right? Like come here, sad. What do you need?
Yeah.
What do you need today?
The wisdom.
Yes.
Right, the messages that the emotion is carrying with it. And when you squish it down and it's not heard, then as we both know, that turns into other things. Like more stagnation, more physical stuff, all different sorts of things.
Yes.
Yeah, so sadness. And I think another one that's really pervasive right now, especially for some parents with the back to school stuff, is fear.
Oh,
yes. It's a biggie.
Yeah.
Can we hold the space of being present on the planet with all the realities we have, all of it, and be okay with the fact that we have fear but not get stuck in it?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh, fear. Yeah, I see fear as an invitation. I notice when my body, because I physically, you'll physically feel some of that manifesting if it connects with earlier experiences of fear, and it can overwhelm the brain and the body, right? And I've been using the term in my brain of it's a call to action, not to flee, not to, to flight, not to freeze, but like, ooh, fear is here.
Right.
And inviting it in and kind of working with it and talking to it too, because it does. We don't want our emotions to drive our behavior, right? Like they're an emotion. They can be here, they can be present, and then we can choose how we want to act or respond. But that does take acknowledging maybe what fear actually really needs. Right. Does fear need a hug?
Right, right. So I love how you speak about it in this way, and how practically do you help coach and teach other people how to connect into their emotion in that way, and maybe kind of uncover what that deeper message is for them?
So it depends, obviously, on the person, but a lot of times I'm, you know, teaching people how to regulate emotions. When you're in a therapeutic setting, sometimes they may not tap into that. And so I go outdoors. So I do adventure therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And then in some of our small groups, we have to expose ourselves to some of that. And then I hear their cognitive brain and I watch their physical body. And a lot of working through that and helping coach them through maybe the story that they told themselves or the thoughts that pop up, they'll verbalize them a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll physically, I'll notice them and call attention to that. And we'll practice what it feels like to soften in, or I had a girl climbing a tree and kind of get stuck, almost going up and wanting to grab the branch. And we talked through it all, and we practiced mindfulness, and we practiced every part of it. And she afterwards like, I did it. And it can be as simple as climbing, not simple, but for some people climbing a tree is simple. For others it's challenging, to holding an ice cube, right? And how your brain says you can't withstand that. And so a lot of times I found with clients it helps to experience it with someone who can nurture that and help coach them through that. And yes, it's great when they can transfer that. If they've had one experience, that's one little synapse, right? That allows them to tap into that outside of our settings.
Right.
To start to empower and carry it over.
Literally becomes like embodied. Like, I broke through this. And so, it may not be climbing a tree, but it may be facing some other anxiety-provoking situation. Like, I can move through this.
And some of it's just talking about it, right? So for some,
it's bringing it out,
right?
Bringing it out there.
That's
like, I think that's part of it too. And that's what I love about this space, is that I'm creating a safe space. Like, let's talk about the stuff that we've stuffed away, because it can't stay down there anymore. It wants to come up. It wants to be heard. It wants to be seen, expressed for the highest good.
Yeah. And we don't always. I found that it might not be me, it might be a coach, or it might be a mentor or a parent that it can happen with. And for some people, they've practiced it with somebody who might have, for good or bad, for wrong or right, had responded in a different way that they've been attached to. So kind of breaking through that and helping them see that person wasn't there knowing what they were doing, but how you can reroute. Neuroscience is real. We can learn new ways of thinking and feeling and being and responding. We can. And it's finding that most people who are, I guess, coming to therapy have found this, like, okay, I have hope. Sometimes it's giving them hope. Yeah. That it can be, and we practice, and you've got somebody with you, and hopefully building people outside of that my space. I don't want it to just be me, that they can go to for it.
So what are the, what are you integrating at the retreat right now in particular with some? Because kind of like the retreat is like, you have the cabin, which is a more traditional therapeutic setting, although Laura's the one who's running everybody outside.
Yes.
Yes.
There are 4 or 5 of us outdoors now. Yes.
But then it's almost like the retreat is like another level of openness to these other ways of connecting in. So what are some of the things that you have growing over there?
So we have, and it's a work, I keep calling it, we're just kind of going with the flow with it to see what surfaces. So everything from, we do expressive arts, we have therapists who lead expressive arts, I have done youth mindfulness and yoga with my intention setting through wood cookies and painting projects. But what I really wanted with that space was hear what the community would benefit from, have a safe place where people can go and work in groups so they feel supported from others around them. So one of the titles is Am I the Only One? And it's a team group, and it's been our most successful program because our therapist, it's an hour, and it's during the, it's on weeknights, and they come, and these girls that have progressed through it have actually said, how do we mentor other girls? How do we bring others, how do we help now that we have these tools, share it? So we have been full as a therapist and as a practice. We can't get people in. And I thought, well, if we can't get people in, then we need more programming to spread this to more people. And that's where group opportunities allow you to reach more people. Right. And then they spread that out. So we want to, help empower others to share what they know and give those gifts that they're learning.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right, because that's really what the purpose is. And there's a level, and this actually goes to what I was speaking on trauma last Friday, this level of you're in your own process, which can feel a little bit like this, and there's a time and space for that. You're in your own process, and you're starting to give it voice, and you're in your own process, and you're helping and supporting somebody else through theirs, even though you still have even though, you know, that's so important, because even like Lauren, I still got my stuff, and
Yes.
I will forever.
Still working.
And that's good. It comes up layer by layer by layer.
Yeah.
But I love that. I love that the girls could see that and that they were called to do that. And I definitely have been seeing that as well. That's part of the reason why I created this and the foundation that I have, because of that idea is that, like, on this planet we need more of that energy and message. Yes, people are ready.
They're ready, and they're like, I want to help me do. We get more calls for, especially in the last year, of, okay, there's the stigma, now what? Like, how do we become change agents? So we're working on ways to empower our youth and hear their voice and let it be heard and help them lead. And that space is for that. And we have adult programming, but it's really when we hear our clients talk as therapists, we get together and we say, what are we all hearing?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're like, who wants to tackle that creatively and innovatively or authentically? And so it's all from that. It's client-centered, client-led, and then programming.
Yeah. So I want to invite all of you who are tuning into this just to know that really is the intention of what I'm doing here. If there's anything at all that you feel called to share, have a question about, want to hear more of, this like please put it out there, sit with it, put it out there right now if you've got something, because we are doing, this is all of us together, like you said, authentically connecting in, growing, and just navigating these waters. We're all in the same boat.
Yes.
Supporting each other.
That's right. Yes. And sharing that wisdom and knowledge from one another.
Yes.
You know, I'm always like, I don't have all the answers, right? And when someone comes in and empowering them to share that wisdom and shed that light and let an idea be birthed into something beautiful, that's our owner, executive director, allowed me to give this idea a heartbeat and fed it. And I feel like I have this duty to help others be inspired by, you have this idea, you have this vision. How do we, seeing obstacles as temporary?
Yeah.
You know, and a challenge, but helping figure out how do we navigate that and give space for that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Any final words, anything else from your wonderful that you want to share?
Gosh, I just think, I would say trending in my world right now is what you helped me do was reflect on setting the tone for our people to take that time to reflect, go ahead and clean out things and let go and practice it, and then see what shows up and trust that what's going to show up is necessary for you right now, and not feeling like you have to add so much more to your already full plates.
Right. Yeah. Really powerful, especially, again, alignment. So being in the season right now where the energy's turning inward, allowing yourself to take that time and space to quietly reflect and get some clarity about, like, okay, what's aligning?
Yes.
What's not? What changes do I need to make in my life to get more into this place? You know, as we move into the next season after fall, which is winter, which is an even deeper time for. It's not that everything stops. It's the opposite of that. That's the deepest level of really connecting in, and, you know, for the year ahead, so like truly diving into that foundation. So really great words, and playing with too, you know, like, this doesn't have to be something that's like, oh God, you know, it can be using your creativity, expressing it, you know, whether it's through art or getting your booty outside and enjoying nature. Yes. So much wisdom all around us. That's definitely something, just, I would encourage all of you who are tuning in to observe the shifts, because it's happening, you know, the shifts. Nature is showing you how to do this, and how you might be able to do it with more grace and ease in your life. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and see you next Friday.